Hi guys, welcome, and I'm here today at EGX and I'm joined by Richard.
Hi there.
One of the lead designers on Warhammer. Thanks for having me. And we are going to talk a bit about Warhammer today and what has been going on. So of course, EGX is the first playable demo of Warhammer, the Ambush of the Thundering Falls, and we'll talk about that today and see a bit more in detail, because we've had some reveals at the Warhammer developer session this morning, which are pretty good. So one of the first things that really caught my eye was talking about the legendary skill trees and the difference between... Yeah, exactly. And can you tell me a bit about these skill trees and specifically about the legendary skill tree? You know, obviously the skill points and like that. So,
I mean, each of the legendary lords will have skill branches that you've seen in previous Total War games, which will work down sort of battle side or campaign side effects. But you also have the legendary skill branch, which will heavily focus on the IP. Primarily on things like, you know, legendary weaponry and armour that they have, mounts, and maybe magical items, you know, that they also have.
Right. Okay. So sort of, I take it how you perform in battle and how you progress that skill tree can give you various options about where you go in terms of what you get as a reward from it. But much like the quest battles in some ways, but I know ultimately the quest battle will give you that.
And the quest battles are tied into that branch as well. So to undertake a quest, you will actually spend your points in that branch to unlock.
Right. So a bit like the points you get like in artillery, you have those sort of points you spend on it. Okay, that's excellent. You mentioned as well that this is an interesting point. You said about the fact that there could be different leaders you choose from at the beginning.
That
was good. I never listened to this in an
So you know, if you're going to play as a dwarf, you've now got High King Thorgrim Grudgebearer, or Ungrim Ironfist, who's your Slayer King, basically.
Does that change the whole dynamics of the campaign if you choose one to the other?
They treat them like your factions of old, so they're going to have traits about them which will focus them on a particular facet of the old world. Thorgrim's going to be much more about the grudges and kind of the overall feel of the dwarves, whereas Ungrim, he's your proper
go out there
warrior type. So much more brutal in combat, a fight to the very end. He's a slayer.
So you think, well, maybe Thorgrim will be more about trying to avenge those grudges. Diplomacy, things like that, what he can get relations, whereas Ungrim is go out there.
And grudges will dynamically happen over time as well. So, if maybe the Greenskins come and wrong you, or the Empire, or, one of these races, new grudges will form, and as Thorgrim, you need to right them. So,
does that affect, in a way, the objectives of the Ultimate Campaign overall?
For their victory condition, you will need to be meeting these grudges.
Right, that's excellent, because it's all dynamic in that. Because we saw in Attila, especially in the last Roman campaign, the introduction of dynamic missions, and you choose selections, and that has an ultimate impact on how everything transcends after that. Is that very much like that in Warhammer sometimes?
So for the dwarves, it plays a lot on that, and obviously Warhammer takes Attila as kind of a base point from which we've built this game. So it gets all the kind of nice fixes and nuances that we put into that. Plus now these new systems for flying creatures and magic. And so
it definitely seems that you're going down the route of making it even more of a role play for the player.
It does have
you
a lot more
have to think about your action, not just about the battlefield, it's more about the campaign.
Well, we want your characters, like they are in the Warhammer lore, to be really important to you, that connection. We don't want people dying of old age like you've seen in the past. Because we're going to build up that strong connection over the course of the campaign, investing time into the skills and really making them your own. Because the lords and the heroes also have these strong development skill trees as well.
And in terms of heroes as well, will it be the case like it is in Agents in Attila, where they will progress their skills and they will actually unlock more abilities as they go along in some ways?
They will. So the Thane, which was the example in the Battle Gear EGX, so he's an agent essentially of old. Now, obviously, as a hero of dwarves, he's very much combat focused. So he has two abilities, which like you were saying, you can unlock through the skills tree. One is the Foe Seeker, which is kind of a buff to himself, gets him charging in, hacking and slashing at people. And then the other one, which is really important, is the Hammer of Draz. That actually you need to keep him in combat to make use of it. If you don't stay in combat, you can't recharge it. So it's to really bring out that essence of him being a proper heroic warrior.
So, like a role-play game where if you're more of a warrior in combat, you gain certain strengths in certain areas. You do that in terms of Warhammer for certain skills you play for heroes in your journeys.
Very much so.
Excellent. That's really good actually. It's good to see that's going down that route. And a few of my subscribers asked me about diplomacy when we're talking about budgets. Can you tell me a little bit of how diplomacy will work in generally Warhammer? Because obviously you think, well, orcs know what diplomacy is. They want to have any diplomacy in any way. And obviously then dwarves have got very regimented who they'll deal with and who they won't deal with.
I mean, dwarves are very stubborn,
exactly,
right?
Yes. I mean,
orcs are all about their animosity and kind of infighting. If I'm not fighting, I'm going to fight you.
Exactly.
I need someone to fight. So they all have those kind of little, things about them. Diplomacy will obviously form some part of the game, but
and can you have it? Can you have an influence in turning? Say, obviously you think, okay, dwarf will never sort of engage in diplomatic relations with an orc. Could you, in fact, turn that on its head in the campaign and think, well, actually, I can do something?
Well, it's a sandbox game, so never say never, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But more details on the campaign we will filter down to over the course of the months.
Cool, excellent, very good. And we saw recently as well in the latest Attila patch, dynamic music is coming. Now we've seen in the EGX demo, the music is now this is the in-game music we're talking about. Is it adaptable like in Warhammer? Is it like until it directly dynamic according to what's happening in the battle and things like that? Do you know? I mean, suppose it was coming as a feature.
I mean, to some degree. Obviously, we want it to be very thematic or really come, pull on the heartstrings of that fantasy world. Yeah, exactly. And you've got these speeches that you saw today with Thorgan rousing the troops.
I think they've gone a lot better again. The speeches were really good in that one. And do the speeches sort of relate to who you're fighting?
They relate to that quest. So yes, they do. Because as much as we prescribe who you're fighting against in these quests, you're free to take whoever you fancy into that battle with you. So so you maybe start that game and think, well, I'm as hard as nails, so I'm just going to go and some dwarf warriors and maybe some quarrelers or something. And then you go, actually, Jesus, that giant's pretty tough. Or that Arachnid, I'll get some slayers, some iron drakes or whatever. So it's up to you, which is really nice. You can tackle it when you want to tackle it and bring whatever you want to the party.
Fantastic. Now, the demo's got two different levels, easy and hard. How have you found balancing all that? Because when the main game comes out, you have more different levels than that. But have you found that you're getting it where it was becoming too hard, it was getting too easy? Have you found the right balance thing yet?
It really depends on who's playing it, right? And
that's true. Me, I'd be like easy.
For some obviously total novices to either Total War or maybe even Warhammer, it's quite a lot, and we've obviously shown off a lot of units from across the wider spectrum of the game today here at EGX. So there will be a gradual learning curve like we've seen in the past. So you won't be thrust into having all these exotic units all from the get-go and facing the equivalent. We've umped it up for hard mode. We've introduced a giant to get in there, and we've quickened the waves of this. So that's the only. It's not a scripted battle. All we have done is literally told them when to reinforce. But once everything's on the battlefield, that's all AI. So that's maybe why you might see a Curse of the Bad Moon in one battle and not in another. You might see the giant coming down the flank and trashing people, or straight in the back. It's really different from playthrough to playthrough.
And it is genuinely adaptive AI with this game. We just say before we started the interview, it does really see that the AI will do so much different things in each battle. You just do not know what's coming, do you? So it's great to see, because as a player you want to be challenged like that. You want to get the AI to really have a go at you. So that's great to see.
I mean, there's that risk reward. Like the magic, you've only got a finite amount of it, so you can't cast indefinite Curse of the Bad Moons. And the good thing about that also is it's a vortex spell. So it's got random movement on it. It obliterates anything that it touches, friend or foe, and it can actually backfire and go straight back over the Goblin Shaman and suck him up.
That would happen to me, I tell you, absolutely, that would happen to me. So, in terms of the game, demo you see, obviously, played very smoothly, very nice, it runs, and you can see that there's definitely a lot of work put into it. Have you sort of got the optimization there for lower end PCs? Obviously, because people will be thinking, oh god, is my graphics card going to take this? There's people have asked me already. How is the optimization going? Is that sort of work in progress?
We still want to cater for our existing fan base. So we want to make sure that people that already played Total War products can enjoy playing Warhammer. Obviously, if you want to spec up and get top end rigs, then you're really going to see all the
glory of it,
whistles and bells and all the rest of it.
And now the dwarves, and we've seen already from the sort of background of the campaign, it's all about trying to claim back what's being lost. Torben's ultimate game.
He's pretty angry about it.
He's not a happy guy. The book's full at the moment. And it's all about claiming back what's being lost. The dwarves on the decline a lot. Now, again, referring back to it a little bit, but obviously, again, last room, the expedition mechanic of trying to take back settlements and things like that. Will we see that sort of mechanic slightly to be adapted into Warhammer by you taking back Karaks and trying to claim them back, and maybe trying to regain what you've lost in some ways?
And they will probably form potentially some of those grudges at the outset of the Dwarven campaign. I mean, obviously we're at such an early stage at the moment. It's not all set in stone by any means, but the dwarves do want to have their holds back.
So
that's those filthy cobbos out.
Definitely. I'm very tempted. Everyone's telling me you've got to do a dwarf campaign. And so far,
well, I love the fact that everybody loves a different race. That's what's so cool about this game. It's like you speak to one person, they're a big dwarf fan, or they're a big vampire fan, or
it's all about as well. It's suiting your playstyle, and I think dwarves suit my playstyle. Sit back, take the waves on.
Turtle.
That's it.
They're great. If you keep them as the throng, the
4 or 5 ranks deep,
and you keep their morale strong, then they are, they're Grommel armour. They're tough.
And it is hard. I mean, I remember you saying, and we saw it when I played it at the studios a few weeks ago. You lose Thorgrim, and you're in trouble. And that is thing. I remember I lost him, and literally my army capitulated like that. So
you want to stick together, whereas if you're playing as the greenskins, you can be a lot more sporadic.
And movement.
Loads of movement. Those forest goblin spider riders.
God, they're so fast.
They're so
off guard.
They're all over you, and it freaking people out with that horrible movement. And it's more. I guess it's more equivalent to like a Zerg rush in the sense that you're fast and furious. So if that's your play style, go for those boys. If you want to be a little bit slower and build up and keep it quite strong, that's the dwarves. So as you can see, we're already developing those nice key racial differences, and your empires, you're kind of it's got a lot of everything in it.
This, and I've said this before. This is most definitely the most diverse you've ever done. You've taken the grotto, you've gone out there, and you've really pushed the boundaries here. And I think that's what you've really captured so far from me, is the fact that every race is going to give you such a different experience in the game. What it's going to be is this the first chapter of 3.
That's right.
A few guys were asking the audience today, will we see elves, things like that, and all the other races that be later on, I suppose. But you're going to concentrate on the 4 at the moment.
That's
the
right.
4 key factions.
Because they're already laden with
more than what we've seen before.
Stuff. I mean, when have you ever seen 8 goblins riding the back of a ginormous spider?
Exactly.
Which is like stabbing people, and they're shooting their bows and arrows. And
it's amazing, it really is. And of course the gyrocopters coming in there.
They're dropping the bombs and causing havoc.
Oh, it's brilliant, and it just adds to that spectacle. And I think I'm pleased that Creative Assembly have got hold of Total War Warhammer, because you can do it to it. You can do some justice to it, I think, and that's great to see. Only a couple more things I wanted to ask you with regards to. You may not be able to say much about this, obviously, but if you can, technology trees. Obviously, we've seen it in all the games for a long time now, and you can see technology. You can search it for a few turns, and you progress on and things like that. Is that going to be a lot different in Warhammer? Will you still be technology research you can do and advance into different areas? I mean, again, it's we can't go into very much detail because obviously it's campaign side of things, but
yeah, races will play out differently.
Yeah. So again,
just because of the IP, they've got kind of different things that are important to them.
Yeah.
So some maybe more so than others.
Yeah. So you'll find, again, that diversity is there.
Yeah, IP. You want to be true to the IP here. So any Warhammer fans. You know, we're fully on board with bringing that tabletop game to life.
Which is great, and you're catering for both players.
And Total War fans, we don't want to take away that strategic element either. We want to keep that in there for you as well.
It's a nice, because everyone was loving the interface after that battle demo we did, and I think the unit cards particularly, loving the unit cards everyone is, and I think again if you sort of design that to quite close to the tabletop sort of feel to it.
If you look in the army books, there's lovely illustrations in there. So our artists have taken inspiration from those to create our own.
And it's nice as well on the left hand side, like Attila, because I'm not very much of an expert in Warhammer, I'm getting to grips as I go along. But straight away, after about 5 minutes of playing it, I knew which units would work well or not, because on the left hand side you've got that panel, works well again, Slayers, anti-large. Those things are good because that keeps the Total War player who is not an inexperienced Warhammer player still engaged.
And maybe you're just a general fantasy player. Maybe you've never played Warhammer, you've never played Total War, but you love fantasy.
Lord of the Rings, games exactly.
So you've got kind of 3 core things about that unit just to bring out. It's good against giant creatures. It's good at armor penetrating. Things like that. It's got regen like the trolls. So you bring out those things and make these little one-on-one battles, like flame cannon can stop that.
And one last thing to ask you. Now, you definitely won't be able to answer this, but I'll ask it to you anyway. Someone said, Vampire Count's going to be released on Halloween. I had to ask it, but there you go. I'll watch this space. Maybe I don't know.
They're worth the wait.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to them. Well, thank you very much, Richard.
Pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
See ya.
Take care.